First at 9 this Friday, the 22nd of November 2024. The money meeting. Discussions with IMF on third review concluded successfully, the government asserts. Outcomes to be announced tomorrow. The unity duty. The president calls on all public officials to unite in building a better nation. The right place, the right time. SJB to appoint MPs from the national list at the appropriate time, says the party general secretary. Ravi slams NDF chairman for criticizing his national list appointment. Grilled and queried. Harin queried by the CID over importing substandard medicine. Pillayan grilled for 6 hours over his alleged connection to the Easter Sunday attacks.
Chilo Dairy, Sri Lankawama, Kiren Perata. ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
කණ්ඩ පරිස්සම් කරගත්තොත් අපි පරිස්සම්.
Asian Paints Causeway Aquasave වැස්සත් මට්ටුයි ගෙදරත් තිස්නේ.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9. I'm Aditya Adrisinghe joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now taking you straight to your top story this evening, the government says that discussions related to the third review under the International Monetary Fund's extended fund facility concluded successfully. This announcement was made following the final discussion the government held with the IMF today. The IMF is expected to announce the outcomes of the third review at a media briefing tomorrow.
A meeting between the Sri Lankan government and the visiting IMF delegation led by Senior Mission Chief Peter Brewer on the Extended Fund Facility Program's third review was held at the Presidential Secretariat in Colombo today. The delegation representing Sri Lanka was headed by Deputy Minister of Economic Development Professor Anil Jayantha Fernando. According to the President's office, the discussions between the IMF and the government on matters pertaining to the EFF's third review concluded successfully. Meanwhile, today, the visiting IMF delegation called on opposition leader Sajith Premadasa. During discussions between the IMF delegation and the Economic Council of the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, the opposition leader noted that the global lender should focus on converting the agreement into one that is people-friendly, given the fresh mandate received by the incumbent government.
දැන් IMF එකේ පාදම DSA එක වෙනස් කරනවා කියලා තමයි ජනතාවට පොරොන්දු වුණේ.
The NPP promised the people that they would amend the debt sustainability analysis. We held a discussion on its possibility. The IMF said that it is impossible to change the DSA. They said that despite the change in government, the agreement should exist as it is. They said that those who earn below 200,000 will be excluded from payee tax. If that is the case, then they should introduce another tax to raise the government revenue. Let's see how they move forward with the agreement. They are moving forward with the agreement without making any amendments. If any amendments are to be made, they will be made through budget 2025. However, that needs to be discussed.
යම් වෙනසක් වෙනවා නම් සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ 2025 බජට් එකත් එක්ක. එතනදී ඒකට ඉතින් සාකච්ඡා කරන්න වේවි.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
පිරිපුන් ජීවිතයකට ඔබ සමගින් පෙරට Union Assurance.
Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
චන්දුරුසුමේ කාගෙන් මන අපේ සිග TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්.
Sadaharita Plantations Limited, celebrating 22 years of your trust.
President Anura Dissanayake called on all public officials to unite with a common purpose and work together to transform the country into a better nation. He made this statement today during his visit to the Ministry of Defence at the Defence Headquarters in Akuregoda, where he assumed duties as the new Minister of Defence.
Following an official reception at the Defence Headquarters in Colombo, President Anura Kumar Dissanayake held a meeting with the commanders of the Tri-Forces and senior officials of the Ministry of Defence. The discussion focused on ongoing and future initiatives of the ministry. According to the President's office, President Dissanayake stated that the new government is dedicated to promoting good governance and seek everyone's support in developing the nation. The president has highlighted that the power of the people remains just as strong irrespective of the constitution and laws. He pointed out that the composition and outcome of the mandate given in the most recent presidential and general elections reflect the people's expectations. Further, the president noted that the government received nearly 80% of the public support in the election, marking a significant shift that aligns with the people's desires. President Anurukumar Disanayake affirmed that his government, as a political authority, has no other objective than to provide the political leadership necessary to meet the expectations of the people. The head of state also emphasized that the support of public officials is crucial to making these goals a reality. The president stressed that in this publicly anticipated new transformation, progress cannot be made without strengthening trust in the public service. President Disanayake noted that the public service has been the driving force behind the economic and social growth of every developed nation.
Fast track your career from O-Levels with eSoft.
After O-Levels, start your Australian degree in just 8 months with ACBT's Foundation Program. Enroll now before it's too late. Call 071 115 1234 for Colombo or 077 011 3223 for Kandy.
Diabetesol සීනිවලින් පරිස්සම් වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
Prime Group ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට හඳුන්වා දෙන land leasing ලේසියෙන් මීටමක්.
Single 1111 up to 60% off from the 11th November to the 17th of November.
Kalani wire කිසිගින්නක් නෑ.
කිසිගින්නක් නෑ. Kalani Fire Shield Wire.
Meanwhile, Minister of Agriculture K.D. Lanka asserts that the government will not allow intermediary rice suppliers to engage in expropriation by creating artificial shortages. He made this claim during the ceremony held on the occasion of the deputy ministers of his ministry assuming duties. Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Agriculture Namal Karunaratne emphasized that the government's goal is to create a fair market for farmers, consumers and intermediaries.
29 deputy ministers of the new government took oaths before President Anura Disanayake at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. Namal Karunaratne, who was appointed the Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Livestock, and Dr. Susil Ranasinghe, who was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Lands and Irrigation, officially assumed their duties at the Ministry of Agriculture.
ගොවියා පාරිභෝගිකයා සහ අතරමැදියා ඒ හැම කෙනෙකුගේම ප්‍රශ්නවලට උත්තර සැපයීම සඳහා අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම අපි මැදිහත් වෙනවා. පොහොර වලට අදාළව සහනාධාරී සම්බන්ධයෙන් යම් යම් ගැටලු මතු කරමින් තිබෙනවා සමහර තැන්වල. ඒ ප්‍රශ්න ටික අපි ඉතාමත් ඉක්මනින් බේරන්න ඕනකම තියෙනවා.
කාටවත් ගැටලුවක් එන්න අපි දෙන්නේ නැහැ. අපි ගොවියාගේ පැත්තක් විසඳනවා, ප්‍රශ්න විසඳනවා. අතරමැදියන්ට ගසා කන්න අපි ඉඩ තියන්නේ නැහැ.
දැන් මහා පරිමාණ මෝල් හිමියන් කීප දෙනෙක් මේක පාලනය කරනවා.
අපිට මහා පරිමාණ මෝල් හිමියොත් එකක් ප්‍රශ්න නැහැ. නමුත් වෙළඳ පොලේ හිගයක් තියෙනවා නම් හැබැයි නිෂ්පාදනය ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා නම් ඒගොල්ලෝ ළඟ තමයි මේ තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ නිසා අපි අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම අපි පාරිභෝගිකයයි ගොවියා ගැන හිතලා අවශ්‍ය පියවර ගන්න.
කොච්චර වගේ ප්‍රමාණයක්ද ගෙන්නන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ?
මෙට්‍රික් ටන් 70000ක් විතර පළවෙනි පියවරට.
දැන් මේක දිගින් දිගටම ඊළඟ වසරේත් මේක මෙහෙ වගේ ගෙන්නන්න හාල් වෙයිද?
අපි තත්ත්වයට ගැලපෙන්න තමයි වැඩ කරන්නේ. දැනට හිගයක් එනවා. ඒක ඉතා පැහැදිලි. ඒ හිගයට දැන් මේක තමයි දැනට උත්තරේ. මේක සදාකාලික උත්තර අපි ළඟ නැහැ. අපි මොහොතට අවශ්‍යතාවයට අනුව වැඩ කටයුතු කරනවා.
Meanwhile, Deputy Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development Chaturanga Abesinghe also assumed duties officially.
අරමුණ තමයි 2030 වෙනකොට ඩොලර් බිලියන 35ක විතර අපනයන ආර්ථිකයක් ළඟා කරගන්න 6.5කට එහා දරදේශීය නිෂ්පාදිත වර්ධනයක් ලබා ගන්න. ව්‍යවසායකත්වයේ පුනරුදයක් බිහි කරන්න තමයි ගරු ඇමතිතුමා සහ මගේ වගකීම් බවට පත් වෙන්නේ.
Deputy Minister of Sports Sugat Tilakaratne and Deputy Minister of Youth Affairs Eranga Gunasekara also assumed their duties.
පාසල තුල බිහි වෙන ක්‍රීඩකයාව ඒ අවශ්‍ය විදිහට අපි කළමනාකරණය කරගෙන ජාත්‍යන්තර තලයට ගේන වැඩපිළිවෙලට අපි අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු සූදානම් කරගන්න. ඔලිම්පික් ක්‍රීඩාව කියන තැනිනුත් ඉස්සරහට යන්න අපේ රටේ ක්‍රීඩකයෝ බිහි වෙයි.
Deputy Minister of Labour Mahinda Jayasinghe also officially assumed duties.
අරමුණ තිබෙන්නේ වැඩ කරන ජනතාවගේ තමන්ගේ සේවකින්ගේ වෘත්තීය ගැටලු විසඳා ගැනීම නම් ඔවුන්ට කිසි ගැටලුවක් මතුවෙන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි වෙනත් දේශපාලන යටි අරමුණු සහිතව කටයුතු කළොත් අපි දන්නේ තියෙ මුණාම ප්‍රශ්න විසඳන්න බෑ.
Meanwhile, TB Sarath assumed duties as the Deputy Minister of Housing.
තවමත් අපේ රටේ නිවාස ප්‍රශ්නේ සැබෑ ලෙසම විසඳිලා නැහැ. ඒ අඩුපාඩුව සම්පූර්ණ කරන්න අපි ඉදිරියේදී අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම කටයුතු කරනවා.
In the meantime, Sundaralingam Pradeep assumed duties as the Deputy Minister of Plantations and Community Infrastructure, while Ratna Gamage assumed the role of Deputy Minister of Fisheries, Aquatic and Ocean Resources. Meanwhile, Professor Gomika Udugama Surya was appointed as a senior advisor to the President on Science and Technology. He received his appointment letter today at the Presidential Secretariat from the Secretary to the President, Dr. Nandika Sanath Kumar Nayaka. Professor Udugama Surya, who is affiliated with the University of Houston and the MD Anderson Cancer Research Center in the United States, is a holder of numerous patents.
Now in other local political news, General Secretary of the Samaga Jana Balawege, Ranjit Madhumbandara, claims that the nominations for the party's 4 remaining national list seats in Parliament will be made at the appropriate time. Meanwhile, MP Ravi Karunanayake of the New Democratic Front asserted that his nomination to one of the party's national list seats was made in accordance with a memorandum of understanding signed by 4 member parties of the NDF.
At the historic 2024 parliamentary election, the Samaga Jana Balawege managed to secure 5 nationalist seats in parliament. So far, the party has only nominated its General Secretary Ranjit Madhumbandara as a nationalist MP, leaving the remaining 4 seats vacant at the moment.
ඇත්තටම ඔබතුමාලගේ ලයිස්තුව එන්නේ නැද්ද?
අපේ ලයිස්තුව අපි ඕන කාලේ නියමිත වෙලාවට අපි එනවා. මොකද්ද ඔබතුමාලට ඔච්චරම තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ අපේ ලයිස්තුව ගැන?
මේ රටව හිතාගෙන ඉන්නවා මේ ලයිස්තුව පත් කරගන්න බැරුව ඉන්නවා ඇයි?
කාණ්ඩායම එක්කවිලා කටයුතු කරද්දී ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා. ඊවල වල ප්‍රශ්න තියෙන්නේ. මේ වගේ විශාල පක්ෂයක තීරණ ගන්න පොඩ්ඩක් පරක්කු වුණා මොකද වෙන්නේ? රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයා මාස 11ක් හිටියා. අපි තාම දවස් 11ක්වත් හිටියේ නැහැ.
In the meantime, representatives of the United National Party expressed their opinions regarding the ongoing dispute within the New Democratic Front over its nationalist appointments.
රවි කරුණානායක මහත්තයා හොරෙන්ම පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ගියා කියලා පක්ෂෙනුත් චෝදනා කරනවා. ඕක ඉතින් අද ඊයේ නෙමෙයි මට මතකයි රාජා කොල්ලුරේ කොමියුනිස්ට් පක්ෂේ එයා ලේකම් එයා මාස්සම් කරගෙන ගියා. ඒවා ඉතින් එහෙම තමයි. ඉතින් රවි කරුණානායක මහත්තයා හොරෙන් ලයිස්තුවේ හිටියේ නෑ.
There was no secrecy surrounding Ravi Karunanayaka's inclusion in the list. Everybody knew that it was his party. Our party should have approached the matter more responsibly, because if it was indeed his party, there is nothing wrong in him including his own name. Derana Gamage secured her seat in Parliament similarly during the last election under the Samaga Jana Balawege's national list. I do not know if there was an agreement within the party.
ඉතින් මෙහෙම දේවල් වුණාම මිනිස්සුන්ට දේශපාලනය එපා වෙනවා. රවි කරුණානායක මැතිතුමා සම්පූර්ණ කියන්න ඕන මේ ප්‍රශ්නෙට. රටට කියන්න ඕනේ එතුමත් ගිවිසුමක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒ ගිවිසුම එලි දක්වන්න ඕන. අන්නේ ලියවිල්ල එළියට දැම්ම නම් මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ ඉවරයි.
මේ අවස්ථාවේදී ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ ගැනත් මට පේනවා එතුමා ප්‍රාණයක්.
At the moment, I see that Ranil Wickremesinghe is being held hostage by a few people. The MOU outlines how the nationalist seats will be allocated. The 4th subsection of the MOU reads that the NDF is bound to grant a nationalist seat to a candidate of the National Democratic Front nominated by the same party. 4 political parties have approved it by signing under it. How can anyone say anything to the contrary when the agreement is clear? The MOU indicates that since there are no candidates representing the UNP, the NDF has granted the opportunity for the UNP to be represented. Am I not a member of the UNP? 99.9% of the UNP agrees with my appointment to the nationalist seat. Somehow the chairman claims that they don't like me. What authority does he have to say something like that? The UNP was ruined because of a few people. I'm the UNP senior most member next to Ranil Wickremesinghe. That is why everybody attacks me. The Sri Lankan tradition has always been to attack a hard-working man. Take a look at those who defend those attacks. Usually the people who defend such attacks have no connection to the party and are mentally unwell.
සමාජයේ යන කතාවක් තමයි දැන් ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂයේත් බොහෝ විට කියනවා මේක ඇවිල්ලා රනිල්ගේ තවත් කපටි වැඩක්. රනිල් මහත්තයාව දැම්මේ එයාට ඕන වෙලාවට එන්න කියලා. ඒකට කියන්නේ මොකද්ද?
ඒ වගේ ඇත්තක් වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්.
Former Minister of Tourism, Lands, Sports and Youth Affairs Harin Fernandez says he is ready to cooperate with law enforcement agencies with regard to the legal matter currently pending in court on the procurement of substandard medicine. He made those comments while arriving at the CID to record a statement in his capacity as a former minister of the then cabinet, which allegedly approved the procurement that was put to the cabinet citing a medicine shortage. Meanwhile, former State Minister Sivanesathurey Chandrakanthan also appeared before the CID to record a statement in relation with the ongoing investigation pertaining to the Channel 4 expose on the 2019 Easter Sunday terror attacks. When the litigation pertaining to the procurement of substandard medicines was taken up in court on the 12th of November, the Malika Kanda magistrate, upon a request made by the Criminal Investigation Department, ordered the recording of statements from 18 then cabinet ministers on the alleged importation of substandard vials of human immunoglobulin. Consequently, former Cabinet Minister of Tourism, Lands, Sports and Youth Affairs, Harin Fernando, arrived at the CID to record a statement upon the formal issue of summons in that regard. Fernando left the CID after recording a statement for nearly an hour.
මම විශ්වාස කරන්නේ නැහැ මොකද කැබිනට්ුවේ දවසකට පත්‍රිකා අඩුම ගානේ 60ක් 70ක් දානවා.
I do not believe so. Around 60 to 70 papers are presented to the cabinet daily. Secretaries to the respective ministries draft them. Subsequently, the subject minister presents those papers. Once a paper is presented, it is necessary to obtain recommendations from the Ministry of Finance. That is the usual procedure. A situation like this has never arisen in Sri Lankan history. However, with due respect to the judiciary, we are ready to share what we know.
උසාවි අධිකරණයට ගරු කරලා ඒ දෙන්න ඕන අපි දන්න දේවල් ටික කියන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
Meanwhile, former State Minister Sivanesaturi Chandrakanthan alias Pillayan arrived at the Criminal Investigation Department once again this morning to record a statement over his purported connection to the controversial documentary aired by the British television network Channel 4 concerning the 2019 Easter Sunday terror attacks in Sri Lanka. The statement was recorded for over 6 hours by the CID.
නිලධාරීන්ට චෝදනාවක් තිබ්බා මේක දැනගනත් මේක නැවැත්තුවේ නැහැ කියලා. ඒ මේක
ඒක අත්තනේ. ඔයා දන්නේ නැද්ද? පාර්ලිමේන්තු කොමිටියේ අපේ සුප්‍රීම කෝට් ඔක්කොම අපේ හිටපු ජනාධිපතිතුමාට අනේ මොන ඔක්කොමට දඩුවම් කරනවානේ. දන්නේ නැද්ද? ඒක අපේ ආණ්ඩුවේ ඔෆිසර්ස් එකේ බැරදි වැඩ තමයි මේ බෝම්බ පිටුනවා. ඒක දන්නේ නැහැ. ඔක පුංචි ළමයි ඔක්කොම දන්නවානේ. මේ මිනිහට ආන්නත්තුව අපේ මනේ එකන ආනවනේ. ආන්නකෝ. සානිට ආන්න. අනිත් කවුද ඉන්නේ? රවිට ආන්නකෝ. මට ආන්න එපා. හරිද? නැත්නම් ජනාධිපතිතුමාට ආන්න. හරි. උඹලා වගකීම් පැහැර අරපු නිසා තමයි මේ දේ උනේ කියලා දැන් ඔබතුමා ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ ඉන්ටෙලිජන්ට් තමයි ආශ්‍රය මේවක ඉන්න ඕනේ. මේ කට්ටිය කම්මැලි වගේ නිදා ගන්නවා නම් මම මොනවද කරන්නේ? අපේ වැඩ නැහැනේ.
එයා නිර්දෝෂී.
අනිවාර්ය. මම නිර්දෝෂී දෙයියෝ දන්නවා ඔක්කොම දන්නවා. ඒක බන්ධනාගාරේ දැන් මේක තරතුන්නා ක්ලේම නෑ. කරන්න බෑ. මේක කරන්න කේදෝ මොකද? ඒක හරි. Thank you.
Sarvajana Bale parliamentarian Dilith Jayavira is of the view that the prevailing culture of the opposition contravening the government's every move must be altered. Jayavira added that he and his party are committed to doing their utmost to serve the country in collaboration with the government.
Sarvajana Bale parliamentarian Dilith Jayavira visited the sacred temple of the Tooth Relic this morning and invoked blessings. He was accompanied by Sarvajana Bale chairman Roshan Ranasinghe and national organizer Dilum Amunugama. Subsequently, the party called on the chief prelate of the Malwatu chapter, Most Venerable Tibbatuwave Sri Sumangala Thera.
අභිලාෂය හා සත්භාවය විතරයි හැමදේම වෙනස. ඉතින් අපි බලාගෙන ඉන්නවා. කාලයට අවස්ථාව දී අපිට මම බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන ටිකක් තමයි වැඩි දෙපෙයි කියලා. මේ වලට හැමදේම තිබුණේ වෙනම තත්ත්වයක් තිබුණේ. හොඳයි දැන් මේ කවුරුත් එකතු වෙලා රට ගොඩ ගන්න වැඩ පිළිවෙලකට. කොහොමද අම්බුරදී අපි දිගින් දිගටම කිව්වේ ඒකයි. අපිට වෙනස් කරන්න ඕනේ මේ සම්ප්‍රදාය. මේ විරුද්ධ පක්ෂ සම්ප්‍රදායත් වෙනස් කරන්නට ඕන. හැමදාම මේ හැමදේටම විරුද්ධ වෙන. ඉතින් ඒක නැතුව එහෙම නොකර හොඳ ප්‍රබුද්ධ සම්ප්‍රදායක් ඇති කරන්න ඕන කියලා කනදින්න තමයි අපි ඔය කරන්නේ. අනන්තේ හාමුදුරනේ ඉතින් මේ අපේ ජාතිකත්වය එක ගැනීම මම හිතන්නේ තාම වැදගත් නේ හාමුදුරනේ මොනම රටක්වත් ජීවුන වෙලා නැහැ නේ ජාතිකත්වයෙන් තොරව.
Afterwards, MP Jayavira called on the chief prelate of the Askiri chapter, the Most Venerable Varakagoda Sri Gnanaratana Thera.
නොදුරු අනාගතයේ අභියෝගාත්මක වෙන බව තමයි පේන්නේ. අපිට පුළුවන් හොඳම දේ උපරිමය අපි රට වෙනුවෙන් කරනවා කියන අතේ ඉන්නේ.
MP Dilith Jayavira also called on the chief incumbent of the Rajopavanarama temple in Gatabe, Venerable Kappitiagoda Sirivimala Thera, and received blessings.
Sri Lanka was elected to the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law by the UN General Assembly on the 20th of this month. In a statement, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said Sri Lanka contested for a seat from the Asia-Pacific group and secured 177 votes, the second highest number of votes within the group, as well as the second highest overall among the 31 members elected. Other member states elected from the Asia-Pacific group to the UNCITRAL are Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, Vietnam, China, Japan and the Republic of Korea. Sri Lanka will serve a 6-year term commencing in January 2025. UNCITRAL, established in 1966 and headquartered in Vienna, is the core legal body in the field of international trade, and its mandate includes removing obstacles to trade and harmonizing trade laws. Sri Lanka has previously served as a member of UNCITRAL from 2004 to 2007 and from 2016 to 2022. Welcome back. Now in your business news, Fitch Ratings claims that the Sri Lankan bank industry's operating environment assessment and overall credit profiles will be supported by an improvement in the sovereign's credit profile following a completed debt restructuring. The rating agency claims that the positive developments will manifest due to the strong link between the sovereign financial health and the bank's operating conditions. The rating agency believes that this would be positive for the national ratings of Fitch-rated Sri Lankan large banks, albeit based on their creditworthiness relative to other Sri Lankan issuers. Sri Lankan Bank's current operating environment score of CCC negative stable is linked closely to the sovereign's local currency credit profile, given their predominant exposure to the domestic economy and government securities and lending to the broader public sector. In other business news, the Singapore carrier Jetstar Asia has commenced scheduled flight operations between Sri Lanka and Singapore. The inaugural flight arrived at the Bandaranaike International Airport yesterday with 179 passengers and was ceremonially welcomed with a water salute by Airport and Aviation Services. The route is served by 5 return flights each week operated by Jetstar's fleet of Airbus A320s and offers travellers a choice of morning or evening departures. Jetstar Asia is one of the Asia-Pacific's largest low-fare air travel networks by revenue, and its carriers operate more than 5,000 flights a week to more than 85 destinations. The Colombo Stock Exchange closed in a positive territory today as a result of price gains in counters such as Ceylon Beverage Holdings, Commercial Bank and Selinco Insurance. The all-share price index settled 0.56% higher at 13,054.27 points, while the S&P Sri Lanka 20 settled 0.27% higher at 3,871.23 points. The market turnover crossed 1.9 billion rupees. The banking sector remained the top contributor to market turnover, while the capital goods sector remained the second highest contributor. Foreign participation in market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreigners closing as net buyers. And now let's take a look at the rupee exchange rates for the day. And now some corporate news in brief.
Sri Lanka's Dipped Products PLC has acquired 100% of the equity of Highcare Thai Gloves Company Limited in Thailand for $11 million. The purchase will be made by Dipped Products Thailand Limited, a wholly owned subsidiary of the Sri Lankan company. Dipped Products said the acquisition aligns with the company's objectives to expand its global footprint in the rubber glove manufacturing industry and strengthen its presence in international markets. Meanwhile, National Development Bank PLC plans to raise up to 5 billion rupees in a debenture issue. The bank will issue 50 million Basel III compliant Tier 2 listed, rated, unsecured, subordinated, redeemable debentures with a non-viability conversion at 100 rupees each. The listing has been approved in principle by the Colombo Stock Exchange. In other corporate news, LOLC Holdings has divested 9.73% of its ordinary voting shares held in DFCC Bank through its sub-subsidiary LOLC Investment Holdings 3 Private Limited for 3.5 billion rupees. In a stock exchange filing, the company said a total of 42.1 million shares were sold at 85 rupees each. LOLC Holdings acquired a 9.99% stake in DFCC Bank through its rights issue in 2022.
That's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you. Have a great night.